Gojira. They are a French technical death metal / groove metal band that I have been enjoying ever since 2016 when their magnum opus, Magma, came out. And ever since then I've gotten deep into their discography. Gojira is basically what it would sound like if Tool and Meshuggah had sex in Drop C and gave birth to a spiritually enlightened child with anger issues. And the band consists of vocalist and lead guitarist Joe Duplantier,
It's online, I cringe, shit my pants. I cringe, definitely cringe.
blast beat and technical groove master drummer Mario Duplantier,
I love to drink. I really love, wine. I love beers. You know what I mean?
their rhythm guitarist. Just kidding, his name is Christian Entreu. And finally their bassist, Jean-Michel Labadie. Today we're going to take a trip down memory lane with these French gentlemen to take a look at their discography starting from 2001's Terra Incognita to 2021's Fortitude. And I'll be ranking all the albums from 4 to 10. And the way I did this, similar to my Meshuggah video, was I scored each song and then added all the scores together, divided it by the number of songs on the album to get the final score. Before we get into it, I really love Gojira, and they've been a huge influence on my writing style and what I expect from a metal band when listening to music in general. So their music and their message is really connected with me. It's been a pleasure to re-listen to their material. So without further ado, let's get into the ranking, starting with 2001's Terra Incognita. This album is generally enjoyable. It has kind of a dark atmosphere. The death metal influence is very strong here, but they've still got a lot of funk to the riffs, and there's a lot of groove happening, which is nice. And they're using a lot of, not tritones, but this they're using a lot of major third riffs. I feel like that's kind of characteristic of this album, and it's especially prominent on tracks like Deliverance, for example, and also Fire Is Everything, the outro, and also Blow Me Away Universe. The lyrics and the whole vibe, I feel, is pretty spiritual, as all Gojira projects are. It feels primal and earthy compared to their newer projects. The sound is nice. It's warm and kind of not lo-fi, but it sounds intimate somehow. Soft might not be the first word that you think of when you hear this album, but it sounds soft to me and warm, the sound and the production of this record. And Mario, even at the beginning of their career, he is relentless. Just the double bass is incredible, and all the cymbal work is really great and really precise. And he's so tasteful and very detailed in his playing, and the grooves that he provides as backing for these riffs on the record are just great. That being said, I'm comparing this to all other material by Gojira, so in comparison the score isn't going to be very high. You tell me if I was too harsh. But counting all the song scores together, the score ended up being 7.2 out of 10. Moving on to The Link from 2003.
I feel like I'm a part of this, and it's a part of me.
This album has less than optimal production. It sounds a little bit weird. A lot of proggy kind of start-stop riffs, and they do a lot of this punctuation with the toms along with a chugging riff, and you can hear that in a lot of the songs like Remembrance and the link. There's a lot of bouncy rhythms, also very primal sounding, envisioning like people playing this music in the forest with bamboo sticks or something. I don't know, it's like, feels primal to me. And still, the death metal influence is still very strong, and there's a lot of cool kind of evil sounding riffs on this album, and it's very energizing and very ferocious and pretty refreshing also for the metal genre, in my opinion. Not that much more to say about this album. It's kind of close to my heart because it's a little bit underrated in the grand scheme of things, and it doesn't really get talked about that much by Gojira fans, but I actually like what the link brings a lot, and I feel like the spirit of the record and the sounds of the record is like really cute somehow. Thinking about like the link and some of the tracks, Over the Flows is like kind of a cute moment too. I don't know, it's like nostalgic to me also, being one of the first records outside of Magma that I really got into by the band. That being said though, the final score that the link ended up with was 7.5. Moving on to the record that everyone knows about and everyone raves about, From Mars to Sirius. From 2005. Starts off with Ocean Planet, which is one of my favorite Gojira songs. I think the ending to that track is really powerful and like, I don't know, uplifting, even though it's simultaneously very heavy and kind of emotionally heavy also with the subject matter. And the songs on here are really solid, really great, iconic for Gojira. What an upgrade songwriting-wise from the link, and sound-wise also. This album sounds incredibly spacious, it sounds powerful, the riffs are brutal and rhythms are great. You can also hear in the lyrics the environmental themes are getting more pronounced. There's a connection with a hope for the future and a prosperity of the human race, which the lyrics on previous records were also kind of introspective and dealing with the human condition and all this, but I feel like on this record they really amped up the environmental aspect and kind of Joe's writing about manifesting a future of the earth where we live in harmony with the nature around us without war and needless killing. There's also themes of dreaming and kind of dreaming yourself away to some other place, which are themes that kind of keep coming back in Gojira's discography. The drum sound is great and really kind of powerful and spacious sounding. The parts are super groovy and hard-hitting. Also very technical and impressive in that sense. So this classic album by the boys, the French boys, Gojira's boys, ended up being 8.3. Moving on to many people's favorite Gojira album, The Way of All Flesh.
The towers that you build so strong, no man can touch.
Came out in 2008. Also has some amazing songs on it. I mean, The Art of Dying is an absolute classic. Adoration for None, collaboration with Randy Blythe from Lamb of God. Sounds great. Toxic Garbage Island, Ouroboros. I mean, these are songs that, these are staples. These are like setlist staples for them. And man, this album is absolutely relentless. The force of passion and like anger, frustration, sadness in Joe's voice and in the riffs. There's this like melancholy mixed with anger, and it's absolutely beautiful and touching and crushing. There's a lot of tremolo guitars, a lot of blast beats, insane double kick runs, lyrical themes, also again touching on difficulty, facing man's nature and destroying the world around him. There's more pointed commentary about protecting animals and the environment, with like plastic pollution, for example, Toxic Garbage Island, that kind of thing. The production is crushing, slick sounding, very, very modern sounding. The vocals and the lyrics are overall very good, and I feel like they're trying some new things here with this album, with like whatever's going on A Sight to Behold, which I think is a cool and kind of unique track in their discography. I'd recommend reading the lyrics and listening to the album. It really adds to the experience. With all that being said, The Way of All Flesh ended up with the score 8.2 out of 10. Next up is L'Enfant Sauvage from 2012. slight dip in quality from The Way of All Flesh, but still an amazing album with some great and memorable songs. The title track is great, Explosion is cool, I love the outro on that track as well. Liquid Fire, I'm not super crazy about the chorus section or whatever, whatever you want to call that, but I really like the verses and the soaring vocals. The Axe is a great track. Born in Winter, Mouth of Kala. Especially the vocals stand out to me on this album as being particularly great. Joe is really in top shape here. And the production is powerful, it's clean, it's modern sounding. Again, snares sound great. You gotta love the intro to Mouth of Kala when it just goes just sick. To me, the whole thing sounded a lot more light and free sounding than The Way of All Flesh. It's like not super compressed and caged in like that album felt, you know, essence wise. It's a little less technical, there's more breathing room, a lot of cool lyrical concepts again, and overall super strong and energizing album by Gojira. It ended up getting the final score of 8 out of 10. Then we proceed into Magma from 2016.
The solution is you. Becoming a god.
Which was my first Gojira record that I ever heard. This album sounds very stripped back, or at least songwriting wise, it's incredibly stripped back. The production of it is pleasant. I like the way it sounds. It's kind of not super flashy, but it's still hard-hitting, and it's not too much or too little in my opinion. I feel like this album feels kind of depressed, you know, and considering the subject matter and like the Duplantier Bros' mother's passing during the writing of the album or prior to the writing of the album, you know, it makes a lot of sense. And I also find that writing-wise, there's kind of a lack of interesting ideas. The energy feels a bit dead sometimes, or not really as punchy as I would have wanted it to be. The lyrics are decent, even though they're getting a little bit simplified and more kind of catchy. I feel like the poetry has a little less weight to it, and Joe is putting a little more emphasis on it being a memorable lyric and maybe something that people can sing along to better. There are a lot of technical and heavy parts though to this album, even though there's like some stoner parts like The Shooting Star and like more clean singing and stuff, but I feel like there's a nice balance and nice juxtaposition there between technical, heavy, and sort of flowy, airy, all this, which is refreshing for this band and a genuine step in a new direction also. Whether it's a good direction, yeah, that's for us fans to judge, I suppose. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. One plus I'll add for this album is that it feels very cohesive and complete. There's like no extra fat. Well, except for the last track, Liberation. Maybe that feels a little bit inessential. Or it could be a little shorter maybe, I don't know. But it's whatever. Magma ended up with the final score of 7.5. Same score as The Link, interestingly. Then we finally arrive at Fortitude from 2021. Goddamn. Starts off with Born for One Thing. That's a song I always liked since its release. I thought the music video was kind of cool also. Simple, hard-hitting, you know, no bullshit, just a solid track. Amazonia, groovy, nice, evolves into something cool also. I like the bridge section there with the whammy pedal. Same thing with Another World. I think that song, as simple as it is, it really hits hard and it gets the message across very well. The other songs I'm not crazy about because they feel very inconsistent. The writing overall is very inconsistent here. They're also starting to rehash a lot of ideas from their discography that we've already heard, which I'm not a big fan of. For example, The Chant has a pretty much identical verse part to The Shooting Star. Amazonia, the verse riff is identical to the riff in Deliverance from Terra, Incognita. Into the Storm feels kind of lazy because the rhythm just goes, which is the same riff as in Esoteric Surgery. So they're rehashing stuff, and I feel like that's kind of lazy writing. Even if the parts serve the songs I feel like it's kind of lazy writing. The drum sound is nice, the guitars sounds crunchy as hell, and overall the production is very hard hitting, especially on the heavier songs, which is nice. The vocal production though, I'm not a big fan of. It sounds very muddy and strange at times. His vocals are overall a lot more subdued and weaker and inconsistent on this album than previous releases. Some songs like The Chant, like Newfound, to a degree, feel very drawn out and like jammy almost. And I feel like there's a significant lack of finesse in the songwriting, you know, in developing the riffs and the ideas to their full potential. I feel like that didn't happen on this album as well as it should have. There's some interesting new ideas and more clean singing on this album, and can you hear the crickets? I have a gecko in this tank right here, and there's crickets on my balcony, and they're chirping away. And it's kind of pissing me off, to be honest. I forgot what I was saying. Yes, the drumming from Mario, just like on Magma, is also stripped back here. He doesn't fill out a lot of the space as much. He lets the song breathe in a different way, and I feel like that serves some songs and doesn't really serve others. The guitars sound nasty though. I feel like the songs on here do have some nice high points here and there, but they're a lot more few and far between compared to an album like The Way of All Flesh or From Mars to Sirius, for example. Grind is an awesome song, and I was listening to that today and getting overwhelmed with emotion. I was like, yes, this song rules. Grind is definitely my favorite song off this album. With all that being said, Fortitude gets the score 7.5, which funnily enough is the same score as Magma got and also The Link got. So what does that tell you? I don't know. Here's the final list. One funny thing to observe here is that similar to my Meshuggah ranking, the scores are generally lower through the beginning of their career and their early output, and also toward the not end of their career necessarily, I mean, I don't know, but like the later stages of their career. And then the middle part is like where the good stuff is. Because as you can see, from 2005 to 2008, that was my favorite stuff, with From Mars to Sirius, which just cut a little bit above The Way of All Flesh. What's going on here? Is there some kind of special... Was there something in the air around 2007, 2008 that was just making people really good at making metal? Was that like the golden years of metal in the 2000s so far? I don't know, you tell me, bro. But yeah, this ranking doesn't really surprise me, honestly. I always knew that From Mars to Sirius was going to rank really high. I mean, I have it on vinyl. I love it, so I'm not surprised to see it win. The Way of All Flesh, I hadn't really thought about it as being one of my favorite albums prior, but I mean, a lot of the songs on there are just so quality. My goodness, it's just so good. I'm happy to see it place second. L'Enfant Sauvage, coming after that, is also not a surprise because it sounds so great, and the high points on that album are just really, really quality. To be honest, I probably would have intuitively put it a bit lower, or I feel like overall a bit meh compared to how much I listen to songs off the Link or Terra, incognita, for example, but maybe that's just how it's been recently. Maybe I just haven't been in the mood. And then Fortitude, Magma, and The Link all getting the same score. Even though The Link is a very different album to Magma and Fortitude, I feel like the quality level is pretty much the same. But I like the later albums for a different reason than The Link. I like The Link for the wildness and the progressiveness of that album and sort of the crushing riffs on there and the death metal influence. But I like the later albums for how grand they are and how they integrate that technical aspect into this new thing. There's like more melody coming in. This video is already very long, so let's move on to the bonus round where I give some, mini awards. Best album title, I think that goes to The Way of All Flesh. That's a sick title. The best album cover of theirs has to be Magma. It's iconic. To me, it's like, I was very inspired by that image and what it represents. I feel like the best lyrics definitely go to, dude, these fucking crickets need to these crickets need to shut the fuck up.
Shut up! Shut up!
The best lyrics, The Way of All Flesh. I feel like As I said, the lyrics just really hit hard on that album along with the music. The best title track has to go to L'Enfant Sauvage, just by how complete that song feels and kind of hard-hitting it is, and how the melodies are great and everything's just great about it. And the best opening track is definitely Ocean Planet, because that song is just great to me, even though it's a little repetitive maybe with the riff and all this, but I feel like it evolves over the course of you listening to it, and it's... Ocean Planet is my favorite opening track of theirs. The best closing track is definitely Grind, just because, even though it's on the newest record, there you go. I mean, they're still doing quality stuff, and Grind is like a song that when I first listened to the record, I was like, wow, where did this come from? That song just came out of nowhere and hit like a ton of bricks. And the best production award goes to The Way of All Flesh, because that album sounds like crispy silver coins falling over my naked body in the shower. So so that was my Gojira ranking video. Hope you liked it. If you disagree, you can let me know and we can discuss differing opinions. That's what I like to do. If you agree with all my opinions, then great. That means that I have, great minds think alike. Great minds think alike, so props to you. You have very good music taste. Gojira is an amazing band. Go see them live. Buy tickets to whatever show. They're probably coming to a capital city near you. Even though Joe's voice might suck nowadays, it's okay. Go watch them. Bucket list thing. I've never seen them live, even though I'm such a big fan, so you can call me a fraud if you want. Bye-bye.